Welcome to Ban This the Show, where I make your ears bleed and take a look at a piece of art and make an argument as to why I think some moral guards would think it'd be an either good idea to outright ban it or at least make some choice cuts. Today, I have a film which has a historical significance of being the first film to be rated PG-13 all the way back in 1984. Now, what's so appalling about this film? Well, let's just say it's anti-communist propaganda. Because the Russians, the communists, they are portrayed as the bad guys. They are the villains of this film. Instead of being, the compassionate and, liberal, forgiving society that communism truly is. As opposed to those nasty, disgusting capitalists and their greed of wanting to control their labor and not being forced to give the fruits of the labor for the benefit of everyone else. The Ruskies are the bad guys, when clearly they are the good guys. Right? It's getting harder and harder to do this show. I'm just looking at films in my own collection, and until I get back into November when I do the video nasties, it's really hard to really think of something. I really have to push it, but that's the whole point of the show is, the whole slippery slope. So I got to find something to be offended about. Otherwise, it makes the whole point of the show pointless. And I'm just wasting hours of my life at a time doing this. So I'm really doing a lot of stretching from this point on. I'll get some easy ones here and then, but a lot of times it's a stretch. But in this day and age, I'm always surprised by what people get offended by. It is insane. So I wouldn't be surprised if people, accuse this of being propaganda against communism, which, well, this is from 1984, and, the Cold War had been going on, starting from the 50s all the way to here. So the tensions between Russia and the U.S. is really strong at this point. And you'll always find, with a lot of films, especially in the 40s, when at the height of World War II, a lot of that creeping into the films, art imitating life. And this is no exception. What would happen if the Cold War were to become an actual war. That's what this film is, explores. And take a look at the remake. I haven't seen the remake, but if I'm not mistaken, the villains in there, since the Cold War had been, over for about 20 years at that point, it's the Koreans. They become the bad guys. The plot remains the same, but the villain is updated to reflect modern times. That could definitely be triggering to some people, especially of the government that it is, looking negatively on. So this case, the Russians, the new one, I'm pretty sure it's whichever Korean country is the suckiest. That one. I always forget which is which. I should know better. But I always forget. The more communistic Korea. It is Korea. I'm pretty sure it's Korea in that film. Like I said, I haven't seen the film. I'm just trying to remember what I know about it. If I'm wrong, I'm sure eventually somebody will correct me or affirm that, yeah, I am right with who the villains are. But one of the strong points of this film, in my opinion, is that the Reds are not portrayed as 100% evil. There is a lot of, there are decent amount points where either a more throwaway character or, the main big bad of this particular film, where we see that it's not black and white. They are people. They're just doing their job, and we see the human side, which kind of can. So when some of those characters die, even though those little bits that we see them, they're not just, they're punch clock villains. They're just doing their job. They have to do these terrible things, but they're not given much of a choice. They are human, and they have a life outside of doing what they're doing. You feel some sympathy for them. It's written well in that aspect. And like I said, the main, one of the head leaders towards the end, he does become much more sympathetic. He's, not black and white. He's just a gray character, like how people are in reality. Nothing is black and white, despite what the leftists and the righties like to paint things. So this is a decent film. It's not my top, but for what it is, it's an interesting little film, and it's definitely interesting to see for the historical aspect of, the most recent form of, tier of the American rating system. So that for itself alone is something that I would suggest you watch it for. That part. A lot of the film, I just find it okay, but there are some parts that I do really enjoy with the way it's written and the humanity of some of the characters outside of the main group of kids. So that's about that for this one. If you have an idea for a film you'd like me to check out, let me know in the comments below. And check my videos out on BitChute and hit me up on Minds for social media. For a bunch of short reviews for myself and other, check out the Stardust app. And I will see all of you in the next one. Take care, everybody.